So today, United Arab Emirates President Mr. Mohammed Al Zayed has come to India, New Delhi for 2 day visit. Now, media we are reading media, and I don't always go with media because we have a lot of news. Personally, I have a lot of news apart from media. Media covers again I'm saying what met the eyes, but I always try to find what is there in the intelligence domain. Right now, why he has come to India to meet Prime Minister Modi. Now, media will see that they want more cooperation in terms of economic bilateral cooperation. They want more security guarantee, like they want India to invest or in the pipelines from within UAE and also UAE to India. So that's a bigger project they want. They want investment in India. UAE want investment in India. They want to have defense cooperation. So that's another area. They want defense cooperation with India. They want to buy arms. Obviously, there are some diaspora area that they want to cover, people to people contact, and all those stuff which are good for the ears, but not good when we talk about the intelligence. So, what are the actual reasons? Let's understand why he came and what is the actual reason, right? Which is not covered in media. So you have to understand there is an axis that has been formed, which is obviously I actually created that podcast before that was created, which is called Islamic NATO, and I told that four countries will be formed. Four countries will join that NATO. So Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey is already there. I told that another country will immediately join, maybe in 6 months' time, will be Bangladesh, right? Some countries in the Africa continent will join Islamic NATO. Indonesia will not join. Malaysia will not join. Um, Oman will not join. Qatar will not join that Islamic NATO. Egypt will not join that Islamic NATO. There are reasons, obviously. I always fall back to my doctrine, and doctrine comes from the history, right? Uh, and though I will take that in a separate, larger episode, why this country will not join. In fact, I told those in that episode why all these countries will not join NATO because they have their example. Egypt will not join because Turkey is there, right? Again, Malaysia will not join because Saudi is there. So there are a lot of challenge or friction generally happens. Now, I'm not trying to cover that today. What I'm trying to cover, why UAE president is here. That's one, and what they want from India, and why India has to be cautious about that. Right. So, UAE president came primarily for two reasons under the carpet. Right. One, they want India or UAE want India to join the Middle East Mediterranean axis. So currently, India has not joined the East Mediterranean axis. So India is supplying arms to Armenia, Greece, Cyprus, right? And this we call it East Mediterranean, and then bring Egypt into that loop. We come into the Middle East, and obviously uh, this axis, which is being driven by Israel right now, Israel is also part of that axis. Um, they are actually countering the Islamic NATO. So this axis is actually countering the Islamic NATO. So if you see, Turkey is there, Islamic NATO, whereas you have the opposite axis, which is Egypt. Then you have Cyprus, Greece, and obviously Cyprus, Greece, and Armenia. And you have Azerbaijan, not part of Islamic NATO, but they're supporting that, right? Islamic NATO. Then the thing that has happened is the Libya, right? Yemen, sorry, Yemen. Now, the problem started almost 2 years back when southern Yemen. So southern Yemen is a separatist area, SPC, which generally I forget the name of those uh, the area more technically, right? In technical terms, which is called STC. I know that STC, but what it means? Yeah, Southern Transitional Council or STC. So STC supports Southern Yemen as a separate entity. So Yemen, UAE support the separatist movement in southern Yemen, which Saudi Arabia opposed. So last 2 years there was a lot of conflict, and last month we saw that there was some counter to counter operation between UAE and Saudis, where one of the arm consignment of Saudis, which was going to the government of Yemen, was actually destroyed by airstrike by UAE, right? Because those were supposed to be used against the southern part of Yemen, like STC, right? Southern Yemen. So southern Yemen is the conflict point or the nerve center of uh, conflict between UAE and Saudi Arabia, right? The second nerve center of uh, Saudi Arabia, between UAE and Saudi Arabia, is the Islamic NATO, because Saudi Arabia has joined Islamic NATO, and by they are getting nuclear security, right? They are getting nuclear security from Pakistan, which probably UAE doesn't like that. And UAE president wants that kind of security guarantee from India. So these are the two reasons. One, that India should support UAE uh, in in terms of investment, in terms of military supply, and in terms of military support to UAE in southern Yemen. So that's number one, which is not covered by media. The second, UAE wants India to provide a nuclear cover or nuclear umbrella, because Saudi Arab has that. The problem with India is that the doctrine of India, obviously, again, I will go to the doctrine because that always provides me the impetus to understand the entire logic, history, and doctrines, right? India's the top level strategic objective. So, any company has some objective or vision, goal. Country also have the first objective. The biggest objective or the biggest doctrine of India is strategic autonomy, right? That's what we call strategic autonomy. And by that strategy of autonomy, you have your military doctrine created, your finance doctrine created, your foreign policy doctrine created, right? So strategic autonomy. So India will never ever join any axis which is military in nature. So India has joined Quad, India has joined BRICS, which is not a military axis. It is economic or human to human or collaboration or disaster management kind of or technology collaboration kind of axis. India never joined any kind of military axis or will never join in future. That's for sure. Otherwise, if you see just an example, India is part of BRICS, right? And in BRICS, last week there was a military naval drill that has happened, right? China, Russia, South Africa, everyone participated. India didn't. India didn't send any kind of naval warship. Um, Iran tried to send, then actually they actually revoked that. But still, India never sent uh, 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 any kind of axis-based military led ecosystem. So I don't think so in this case also in current situation that UAE expecting India to help them in southern Yemen. It's not possible. India will support in terms of investment, and that too obviously balancing because Saudi is also a great partner for India, like Qatar, and so India has a very balanced approach to Middle East. Though there are three axes primarily, I can take this another podcast, but there are three axes in the Middle East: power axis, one led by Saudi, one led by UAE, another led by Qatar, and they obviously have some degree of cooperation, but there are significant amount of indifferences also. And uh, so so uh, so India want to balance all these things, right? They don't want to try to create a rift or indifferences within these axis, three axis. So I don't think so. Uh, India will help that, or India will do that. They will sell military assets and not the strategic military assets, but they will be more of a tactical military assets like SAMs, then helicopters, ammos, and all other things. But they will not sell, which is the BrahMos. Obviously, those are strategic assets. BrahMos is strategic asset, missile strategic assets. So India will not sell those assets. Um, Second part, which is that whether India will join the East Mediterranean Middle East axis. Uh, Again, I'm saying that it's no. They will try to join it via supplying arms to these countries, but not as a military axis. So there will be no military axis, and they will not join. They will supply weapon to Armenia, Cyprus, Greece, Egypt. They will have bilateral drills, bilateral military um, um, war games between this country, not any kind of axis-driven military drills, and also they will not support any form of military axis-driven operations, any covert operation, any kind of intelligence-driven operation. It will be primarily human to human, economic, disaster management, technology sharing, and all those things, right? So these are the two major areas or the major thrust areas on which the president of UAE has come to India, and I don't think so those will happen. Obviously, the other things that will materialize is India will invest in UAE more. They are a 500 billion economy, whereas Saudi Arabia is a 1 trillion economy, right? Almost double. But the UAE's per capita GDP is much more than Saudi Arabia, right? So obviously they are not dependent on oil only. They have multiple, so they have diverse their economy. When I say they UAE compared to Saudis, so they will try to diverse more. They will try to invest in India. They will try to buy some assets, military assets. But those two, those two requests from UAE that to help uh, UAE militarily in southern Yemen is not possible. Secondly, to create or join or to create or to leverage the Eastern Mediterranean axis along with Israel and UAE is not possible. Again, to be honest, Israel is a country which is very friendly with UAE as well friendly with Saudi Arabia. It's a very complex geopolitical equation that runs across the world, and the majority of them is because of the history and culture, and some part is because of US. So that's how I will end my video here. Welcome for any kind of comments and suggestions. Thanks for watching.